So I have a ball, it goes forward, and I'm able to follow it while it's bouncing for its doom. But potentially I would like to not make it fall towards its doom. Maybe I want to be able to control it a bit. That's why I want to add some controls to it. And you do that by, first of all, I need to enable some key bindings or input bindings for the game. So it knows on which keyboard or game control it needs to react to. And then I can actually use those same key bindings to have some kind of reaction or program some kind of reaction. And I will do that with forces from the Lua script. Let's get back to the editor. And we will do that by selecting the Roboball entity. We are going to add an input to it. We don't have any event bindings yet to this project, so let's open up the asset editor. So I'm going to, well, there's already one open, so I can technically do a save as. So, and yeah, we have assets from called materials. Like, you know, I know it's maybe not the preference way, but since it's so close to the script, I like to put it in my script part. But you know, like, what is an asset? What is a script? What is, you know, there's probably people that have opinions about that, but I will put it in scripts. And I will call it keyboards, but the keyboard's input bindings are still pretty empty. So I will call it, the event name, I'll call it control. And I will add elements to event generator elements, which is based on an input event map. And that's a gamepad that is set to, but I don't have any well, I have gamepads over there, but I don't want to use a gamepad. I want to use my keyboard, and I want to use just the arrow keys for that. So let's just do like the navigation right. I will call it min -1 for the event value. You will see what the event value will do later in the Lua when I go to Lua script. And let's add another one for the right button. So keyboard key navigation arrow. It'd be nice if I can select this and then I can just push the key that I want to use. That would definitely make my workflow even better. I'm not sure if there's an issue open for that, but or a feature request. But if not, then I might ask for it. Or maybe I'll make something myself. But I'm not that, like, you know, I'm not that confident with any O3DE development. Yeah, where were we? Keyboards, input bindings. I have the right key, arrow key, at the left arrow key. I will now do save. And then I will add it to, oh, it already opened up. That's nice. So this is the Roboball project scripts and keyboard input bindings, like, still able to find it. Okay, so we have the keyboard bindings there in, but now like we just have only the input bindings, but we haven't really connected it to anything yet. So let's open up the Lua editor and I will open up a new script. I could do it in the same script, but I just want to kind of like keep these scripts separate so I can like interchange between them. Roboball, and then we can say control, because that's basically what I want to do. I want to control the ball. Ah, okay, so let me just change all the movement to control. So now I've done a save as. And let's just make sure that if I select the Roboball control in the Lua script component and it's not yet saved, just make sure that, okay, impulse size is still there. I would definitely want it to be a bit quicker. So yeah, it's going faster and faster, exactly how I want to. Okay, so we got input bindings. We made a separate Lua script now. Yeah, let's add the input bindings to the actual script itself and let's do something with it. So that is actually something that we have to get first, the input plus ID. But I have to go like for the input event notification ID and then self. Oh wait, I have to add a property to it. Let's do another property. Input event name, just like they do it on the other follow-on tutorial. I think that's probably nice. It was called control. Let's just double check that again for my sake of being potentially paranoid. Can I see editor? Oh, there you go. Control. There you go. It is called control, but no worries, I'm getting to a part that potentially I haven't trained that much. Okay, so input event, I had a default of an empty string. Now here in properties, I've added control. So if I do self input event notification ID in this, it should actually, well, it's still compiled, so it's fine. So it will actually get that event name that I've just put into properties on the editor itself. Also adding input notification bus, which is input event notification bus connect and self comment input bus ID, which is catched here as a local, which is also a new way to. I am also kind of like it automatically assigns itself what kind of variable it is. So a variable dot comma is something I know from back my old MATLAB days. So I'm not sure like what the actual purpose is here, because it also works without the dot comma, but let's just add it just to be sure. Okay, so like on, and then I would also want to add like, okay, you have linear impulse still every tick, but I want actually every time that I press down the input of the keyboard in the arrow keys, let's say that's what I put all the input bindings for. There's another function for that called onPressed value. And then say local impulse direction variable, which is the value. Let's also close this. The value, which is, if we go back to the, well, let's first finish this one. Let's not make the same mistake that I've done before. So I'm also going to use the same impulse that is done for the forward one as well. I'm also going to use here. So the impulse direction is also going to be determined on this value. If you go to input bindings, you maybe remember that I've added like -1 and 1 here. So that means that it will actually show that value or give that value when the event is triggered or notified. So I'm going to use that to actually indicate the direction of the linear impulse that it will need to apply. So you have rigid, then same function as before above, body pressed bus.event apply linear impulse self-lit entity ID vector 3 0 impulse direction and then 0. So which means is that it's going to give the impulse to the side. So I can kind of change the direction like that. It won't change the direction, it will just kind of give it a side nudge. But and also it's going to be global, I think. That's also kind of one of the issues. But let's see. But now I'm able to control the ball at least a little bit. And I also would need to close the event bus as well here. So that is, let's say that is the input notification bus. I'm just going to be very lazy and copy paste it here. And I think that is this disconnect. Seems to be working. I also forgot to disconnect the tick notification bus, which is also something that you're supposed to do. I don't know what the actual consequence of it is if you don't disconnect it, but it's a nice thing to do. Yeah, okay, cool. So like we've added, so here is like we started the input bus ID, the input by grabbing it from the input event name, which I've put on the editor to be control. The input notification bus is connected by using that same input bus ID. Then on the onPressed function, which is now inherited because I have an input now from an input component in the Roboball entity right here. I've added those two arrow keys, and then you of course have to disconnect. So it applies a linear impulse, determined on the direction of how I control the ball. Ah, there you go. But at least I started to do this version control with Git, and that at least helps me to kind of it works, commit. And then little change, it doesn't work. What have I changed? Okay, let's change that. So at least doing some kind of version control helps a lot. Went from the thing again. So, but at least I'm able to control it. So there's a controllable ball. It's a robot, not really, because it's it's being controlled. So like a remote control entity. And I also think that it's probably also have to next time add some kind of texture to it so I can see if the ball itself is also rotating. But it's a work in progress at least. So next time at least I will have a already rotating ball, controllable ball, and then I'm hoping to also do something with the collision, like for instance when it can feel whenever it's hitting the floor. And I also want to be able to now if I control it, it doesn't rotate with the ball itself. It doesn't rotate with the ball itself, so it would be nice if I can adjust the camera rig to do that. Also, I would like to be able for it to distinguish between different type of collisions. For instance, I would like to add, again, the white box collider, for instance, that you can just add to the system itself, and then you can just change the shape very easily. Let's say, for instance, if I add it here and I static, it's fine. Can I edit it, please? Yay, can add a wall so it can finally stop hitting. So it can finally stop going over the wall. So let's see. Probably will keep continuing to hit that one particular wall. But let's see. We're pretty much at the end of this also. Let's have a little fun while we're having it. Now it will constantly hit this wall unless I give it. Whoa. Okay, it's going a bit. Let's go back. This control needs a little bit of work, obviously.